Hey guys,
Hello, everyone.
we hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. I hope you guys tuned in to yesterday's devotion and yesterday's church service. Um, we know that it's a crazy time. I think I've said that, and I'll probably keep saying this because it's so different than what we're used to. We're all, trying to learn what the new normal is. Um, and I know that it can be very confusing and very roller coaster of emotions. And we've been talking about keeping a healthy state of mind. And so for the last 2 days, we've been talking about that, how to stop yourself from having a negative state of mind. But today we're going to talk about what if you're already in a negative state of mind? How do you get out of it? We know that some of you might already be dealing with feeling alone, and we talked about how to avoid that. But what happens when you're kind of there already? And so we're going to talk about today feeling isolated, which will lead to depression. Something kind of similar happened to me back in 2005. I was a freshman in college. Yes, I know that seems like a very long time ago. I still am young at heart. But it was August of 2005, freshman year in college in Indianapolis. I moved from here, New Orleans, and went straight up there. Didn't know anybody, and then Katrina happened, and didn't have any connection with my family. Couldn't get in touch with them. Didn't have any money. We lost everything. Completely wiped us out. And it was about a 2-week time frame when I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where my family were. Were they okay? Were they making it? Were they safe? I allowed myself to fall into a negative state of mind. So I think that's why this topic is so heavy on me, because I know what it's like. I've been there, and I know what it feels like to feel like you're miles and miles and so far from your normal life. And I allowed myself to fall into a spiral of negativity and darkness that surrounded me, all while being in the halls and in campuses of a Bible college, where God was talked all about, but yet it was all around me. Faith was all around me, but I still was feeling very isolated. And the reason is because I was fighting this battle alone at that time in my life. And that's what is so important to realize, is that you don't have to fight this alone. There's a song that says God is fighting for us, pushing back the darkness. And it wasn't until I allowed other things and other people to help me, to pull me out of my darkness, that I really started to get back to my normal self. So I'm going to give you 2 scriptures today. First one is Eclesiastés 4:9-12. And it says, "But 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." What God is saying is here, when you fall, if you don't have someone there to pick you up, it's going to be a lot harder than if you had someone there supporting you, someone you can lean on, someone you can go to and say, "Hey, I'm struggling. Help me through this." And the other scripture I want to leave with you is Galatians chapter 6, verse 2 and 3. It says, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone thinks to himself, be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself." What God is saying, if you think you have this under control all by yourself, you don't. If you think that you can fix this problem all by ourselves, we can't. We cannot fix what's going on with this virus. We don't have the power to heal. We don't have the power to go and snap our fingers and it'll all be cleared up. We don't have that power, but God does. And so what we need to do is connect us with Him, and then He takes care of the difference. So what do you do when you already feel isolated? What do you do when you feel yourself being in that spiral of negativity? You find help. That is what you do. You reach out and say, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm not feeling like myself. Hey, I'm dealing with some dark thoughts. I'm dealing with some isolation. I'm wanting to harm myself. My friend's husband is a cop, and she was telling me, that there's so many things that's actually not being said on the news because they're trying to avoid people from spiraling. Because if we told everything that is happening, people would just go nuts in fear, and it's causing people to be home and be so depressed. Because yes, we are in a crazy time, but there's still goodness out there. There's still a light in the darkness. There's still hope. There's still peace. There's still comfort. And all of that is not found in the social media. It's not found in the news, because it is found in God. So what do you do when you're feeling isolated and you're feeling depressed? You call a friend. You engage yourself with someone. You engage yourself with someone who's going to bring you up, who is going to encourage you. You listen to uplifting music. You read the Bible. You tune into things like this, daily devotions. You tune into church services. These things are going to lift you up. These are the things that are going to take you out of that dark depression or that isolation feeling and make you feel, hey, I'm a part of something. Hey, someone cares for me. Hey, someone's paying attention to me. When I'm weak, He is strong. My husband lifts me up when I'm weak, and I lift him up when he's weak. That's why the Bible says for two are better than one. Because if I try to deal with it on my own, I'm just gonna keep like a dog with a tail running in circles and circles and circles. But if I lean on someone else, if I have him to come in and say, hey, come on, we can do this. Get up, try again. Put a smile on your face. Do what you gotta do. So reach out. If you don't have anyone to reach out to us. We're always a phone call away, a text away, a message away. We will always be here for you guys.
Thank you, baby, for that wonderful illustration of that story that you have. Like many of us have dealt with depression in some sort of way or some sort of form. Like me personally, I had dealt with depression before I got into the church, and it led to a lot of drinking and alcohol and a lot of drug doing, and it was because I was in an environment, not that my parents were abusive, but we think a verbal abuse, a physical abuse is the worst, but sometimes verbal abuse can be just as bad as physical abuse. So I lived in an environment where words were kind of loosely used. It's not because that's the type of people we were, it's just because that's the environment we grew up in. It was just kind of tradition, I think my parents grew up in that type of environment, so it just was kind of natural for them to kind of, not they wanted to spew this, they heard on us, but it's just that's the way they knew how to raise us. And through all that, words were just, eventually words being said every day, we start to believe those words that, we can be nothing, we're going to be losers, or, like me, I was always the fat kid of the family, and, being a fat kid, and they would make fun of the fat kid, and then during time, those words eventually would hurt, and we would would create insecurities in me, and I would, basically would start dwelling and believe that that's the only thing what I would ever be, the fat kid of the family, and it started a bad depression. And it made me to isolate myself, and made me just to lock myself in a room and play Xbox all night, to where I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to spend time with nobody. I didn't want to talk to nobody, and that's the worst thing that I could ever do, was isolate myself. And thank God for I had family, my brothers and sister-in-law that were going to church, and they always would encourage me to come to church, and it was a sense of peace and joy in my life that I had. But eventually, through times, they would eventually go, and I would go with them. So those times that I went, I would feel God's peace and love, and I seen the difference. That with God, I would have peace and love and joy, and that when I go home, I would have depression and every other thing, depression and anxiety. So I want to leave you guys with this: don't isolate yourself. That's the worst thing you could do, is isolate yourself, and be around people that's going to encourage you, that's going to lift you up, that's going to push you, that's going to get the best out of you, and be around people that's going to that's going to take you out of the oppression, out of the depression. Like the psalmist David, he had a great saying that he said, I encourage myself in the Lord. And he said those days that he was down and out, those days he was probably even depressed or frustrated or stressed, or even when we feel battle now, he was probably feeling a moment of weakness, and he encouraged himself. You know what, God, you get me through this. You're my strength. You're my joy. You're my peace. You're gonna see me out of this. You're gonna be my protector. You're gonna fight my battles for me, and that's God is. He's our defender. Just don't stand and don't think you're in this alone. God is with us. He's fighting our battles. He's going before us to fight our battles. And so please, guys, always encourage yourself in the Lord. Encourage yourself with family. Don't separate yourself. If you even see another young person talking negative or down, you lift their faith up. You encourage them. Tell them it's gonna get better. And we love y'all. And we hope that y'all continue to watch these videos. We thank y'all for watching, and we love y'all.
Take care.